I thought of starting with an obvious truth. Chip is the only pacifist, ethical vegetarian, occasionally macho, and fiercely competitive golfer in Fred's education. But that seemed unduly limiting. I decided instead to imagine what I might say if next year a new colleague were to ask, what will I likely miss by not working alongside Chip Poston during my career at Georgetown? I would frame my answer in light of my favorite quotation of Martin Luther King. Once in the early 60s, King was attending the funeral of an African-American Army officer in New York, a career man. The media, hungry as always for a provocative story, asked how King could be a pacifist and attend the funeral of an Army officer. King answered, I do not judge a man by how well he lives up to my values, but rather how well he lives up to his own. I've always loved that story because I can't think of a more compassionate, generous, or fair way to judge another living soul. Rufus Jones said in 1940, there must remain amidst all the confusions of the hour a tried and undisturbed remnant of persons who will not become purveyors of coercion and violence, who are ready to stand alone, if it is necessary, for the way of peace and love among men. It matters not, I think, if you agree with pacifism or ethical vegetarianism or Christianity or civil disobedience in assessing Chip's life here at GS. And I never heard Chip proselytize about any of these things. It matters enormously, though, I think, to ask if he leads his life in alignment with these values, each of which he does hold. The answer in my experience of the man is unquestionably yes. So with this premise firmly in hand, I would say this subjunctively to my new colleague. Should it be so that you would work alongside a man who fully armed with the knowledge that according to psychology today, an adolescent boy engages in a sexual fantasy once every 27 seconds, you will resolutely, day in and day out, patiently and with great gentleness and love, try to grab the other 26 seconds and fill them with both learned and focused wisdom about the life of the spirit, the possibilities inherent in transcendence. He really does try to do that. If you were to work alongside Chip, you would likely see him some winter afternoon up on the corner of Route 413 with a small group of students, perhaps a Catholic nun, holding signs protesting our 14 years of war in the Middle East. He would not boast of it later, nor condemn passerbys who might have shouted epithets out their car windows at him, but he would still be standing there, year after year, tilting gently, firmly at his own sacred windmill, quietly bearing his relentless witness for peace. If you were to work alongside Chip, you would never know a human being more religiously tolerant. I have never known a man more accepting of other religions than Chip, and I can honestly say I never heard him disparage another's beliefs. He holds Catholics, Jews, Muslims, Mormons, all manner of Protestants, Buddhists, agnostics, atheists, and the like. Attentive always to the mysterious and highly personal nature of religious faith. In the dark shadows of our postmodern culture, Chip always knows that the weight of compassion counts far more than that of easy irony and elitist sarcasm. When I traveled to Israel and Palestine with Chip and Polly in 2000, we walked through several refugee camps, places of despair and suffering and deprivation. If you were to accompany him on such a trip, you would see him greet everyone with a joyous smile, with compassion and love.